f.i.r.e is a lifestyle and financial movement that has gained a lot of popularity in the last few years. It stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early, and it is exactly that, working towards becoming financially independent and therefore being able to retire early. If you're not clued up on what financial independence is, then do go check out my last video where I go over it in a lot more detail, but put very simply, it is having enough money to live without having to work for the rest of your life. So the f.i.r.e movement is essentially people working towards this goal, and they do this by cutting their costs, trying to save as much money as possible, trying to increase their income, and also trying to build different streams of passive income as well. As I briefly mentioned in my last video, people looking to reach financial independence do often use the stock market as a tool to reach their goal, and this is for two main reasons. Firstly, the stock market is known to give better returns than any bank or savings account, and therefore people use it to grow their savings to reach the lump sum that they would need to retire. Secondly, it's known as a passive income because not only does it continue to grow once you have retired and you start using the money, but it also pays out dividends too. So let's look at growth rates first. When we look at interests that you'll find in a bank account, the lowest that you're going to find for an easy access savings account is around 0.5%. These are pretty much rock bottom at the moment. Once upon a time you might have been able to get 10% on your savings, but now it's very rare to be able to reach 1%. You might find this if you are happy to lock your money away for a certain amount of time, but for an easy access savings account you're looking at around 0.5%. If you Google the average return rate for the stock market, however, you're going to find it's a value around 10%, and this is usually based on the S&P 500, which, if you are not aware, is a fund made up of 500 of the largest companies in the United States. So let's just do a quick comparison so that we can see the difference between these two options. So if we had £50,000 and we had it for 10 years, then at 0.5% you would gain £2,500 in interest, but if you were to put it in the stock market and it gained 10% every year for 10 years, then you're looking at a growth rate of £79,000. So that plus your original savings of £50,000. Currency doesn't matter here, this is just mathematics. Pounds has nothing to do with it, so you can convert it to your own currency. This higher growth rate enables savers to reach their financial independence goals quicker, and also keeps their money growing once they have reached their retirement, and also it helps them beat inflation, which savings accounts don't let you do. Secondly, we have dividends. Now do remember, not all companies do pay out dividends, and the rate that they do pay out can vary a lot, but the average rate of a dividend payout is around 2% a year. So let's do some really simple calculations again. So if we look at a lump sum of £1,000, then a 2% dividend would be £20. For £10,000 it would be £200. For £100,000 it would be £2,000. A lump sum for £250,000, 2% dividend would be £5,000, and for a lump sum of £500,000, £500,000, a dividend of 2% would be £10,000. These might seem like really small numbers, but if you're watching this you are probably a beginner and not having a lot of money. But do remember, this is essentially free money that you're getting from your investments, and also as your money grows with the stock market, then your dividend will increase as well. Most people tend to reinvest their dividends, which means buying more shares with the dividends that they receive, but once people reach that retirement goal, then they tend to take the dividends as cash and use them as part of their income. Okay, now for the fun part, how to work out your f.i.r.e number. So there's three parts to this. The first part, you need to work out how much you would need to live off every month, and don't go stupidly low and be really frugal. How much realistically would you like to live off every month? Now times this by 12 to get to your annual amount. Now you want to multiply this annual amount by 25, and this gives you your lump sum retirement number, the number you would need to have invested to be able to retire. Secondly is the 4% rule, and this dictates how much you can withdraw from this lump sum every year and not decrease the total value of it. So 4 times 25 is 100, and you've times your annual income by 25, so if you withdraw 4% of this, then this should be the annual income amount that you calculated. Feel free to pause this video and do some calculations, play around with some different numbers and see what sort of figures you are working with. Now you're probably thinking, wow, that is a lot of money, I'm never going to be able to save that amount, but you might be surprised at the power of investing, and I'm going to do some examples in a second just to show you that. But before I do, I just want to put in a word about tax, because I do feel like tax gets forgotten about a lot when it comes to these f.i.r.e videos. So obviously check out the tax in your countries because it will differ, but here in the UK we have both a capital gains tax, which you pay if you sell off some investments, and also we have a dividend tax as well, and these can be up to 38% depending on your tax bracket and your earnings. So if you didn't buy all of your investments through an ISA or a tax-free account, then you will be liable to pay tax, so do account for this when you're doing your calculations. Okay, I'm going to do some quick examples. I'm going to run through them because I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I am going to do a separate video on the power of investing as well, but I just wanted to show you some quick examples. So if you invested £350 every month for 20 years, then you would have tripled your savings to give you a total of £250,000 over that 20-year period, and this isn't taking into account reinvested dividends as well. If you were to do £500 a month for 20 years, then you're looking at a total of £359,000 at the end of that. So this does show that it really can add up, and if you're lucky enough to even have some more time, if you're only 20 years old and you've got say 40 years to invest, if you invest just £200 a month for 40 years, then you would have over £1 million invested in the stock market at the end of the 40 years. It's obviously definitely circumstantial as to how much you can save, as to how many people you have that you have to look after and feed, how many people you have sharing the bills, for example, how much time you have. Like I say, that is a really big factor, and also how much you can physically actually save because of how much you are earning. So you are obviously limited to certain parameters. I'm not saying that being able to save £1 million is a reachable goal for everybody, but I do think it's interesting and also surprising how much it could grow. Okay, that is it for today. I hope this was helpful and you enjoyed. As always, please give me a like and a comment if you did. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.